and good afternoon. It's Danielle Burnett coming to you live from my car as I'm at the school to pick up my granddaughter. It's that day of the week that I get to do that wonderful thing and spend time. I've mentioned that a few times before, and that's Danielle Burnett from DanielleBurnett.com. Love yourself from Survive to Thrive, that lady on the internet who loves you, with something I learned after the Oxford school shooting. If you're not from Michigan in the United States, you might not know what I'm talking about with that, but at the beginning of, I don't remember the date now, just recently, I'll say, recently here in Michigan, there was a school shooting. One of the students opened fire, killed kids, put them in somewhere in the hospital. It was horrifically terrible. The next day, 12 school districts closed because of concerns of threats and things like that. It was really awful. It's still awful. And one of the things that happened not too far from where I live. I happened to be on vacation at the time in a different state. So I was physically removed from that, but I was not emotionally removed from that. And it's close enough to home that it affected, personally, my grandchildren. And not that it doesn't matter if it affects anyone, but when it hits close to home, it gives you a bigger pause, I think. If you know someone or it has some association, it gives you a bigger pause. And the day after that happened, when the 12 school districts closed, my grandchildren, where they go to school, those school districts did not close. And my daughter kept her kids home that particular day. And I messaged my one grandson, I'm getting cut off. Oh, I'm reconnecting. I hate when that happens when I'm doing a live and it just cuts out on me, the Wi-Fi or whatever it is. But I connected with my grandson. I reached out to him, asked him how he was feeling, wanted him to know that I cared how he felt that day. And he said that he was doing okay. And I told him I loved him, that God was with him, just reaching out with encouragement. And he responded with, I know, which isn't so strange, especially for how old he is. But that's what gave me pause that day. We have such a tendency to respond with a, I know, when we're being told something that we've heard before. And that's what I learned from this is how important it is to repeat to people what they already know. I'm not going to stop telling my grandson I love him. I'm not going to stop telling him things I've already told him before, even though he knows it. Because we repeat what's important. And I'm sure the parents of who lost their children, I would imagine they're very happy for the times they repeated that they loved them. The ones who were in the school around the corner and heard that going on, I am sure they were happy for hearing how many times their parents had said, I love you. We repeat what's important. And not just I love yous. We should say I love you as many times as we can. Never get tired of it. Never stop saying it. But also other things of instruction, things that are important, how to do things. When something happens, do this. Oh, Mom, you already told me. No, I'm going to tell you again and again. Or Grandma, you already told me. No, tell them again. We repeat. That's how we learn multiplication tables, is by repetition. It's how we learn. It's how it gets so ingrained in us, it becomes a part of us, is repetition. Reminders. It's why I come on here and remind you all the time I love you and tell you I'm that lady on the internet who loves you, because you need to know you're loved. We need to know we're loved. We need to hear it all the time, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so when someone says, I know, don't stop telling them. Keep telling them anyways. Especially if you have a teenager and they roll their eyes at you. Keep telling them anyways, because it is important to repeat what is important. That may sound kind of silly to say it like that, but it is. It is super important to repeat the things that are important. It's how we learn. It's how we know things. That's how we drive trauma out of our soul, is through putting the truth in there, because trauma, it comes from lies, it comes from shame, it comes from so many different things. And when we put in there the things contrary to it over and over and over and over again, that's how we drive it out. Repetition and reminders. Those things are so important. And I learned that in just a deeper level the day after that school shooting. And so I want to encourage you, remind your family you love them. Remind your kids, your parents, your nieces, nephews, grandmas, grandpas, whoever's, your bosses, your friends. Remind them of the things that are important. We repeat what is important. And I love you. That's important for you to know. And so until next time, bye-bye.